You are at Crossroads Blues Records. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications.
I grew up in a house where the walls knew about the lean. Months between the paycheck and the grace of the in-between. My mother counted quarters for the Friday grocery run, and she did it with a dignity that outweighed everyone. Of the quarters and the counting, she made poor look like choice, and she filled our house with music in her extraordinary voice. Empty pockets, full heart blues, the oldest kind of song, broke enough to need the music, strong enough to sing along. Empty pockets, full heart blues, been here before and will. A man who's rich in music has the most expensive bill. I loved a woman once who came from the other kind of home, where the wanting was not financial but the freedom and the roam of the emotionally sufficient, the materially stocked, who don't know about the counting and have never had to knock on the patience of a landlord or the goodness of a friend to bridge the gap between the month beginning and its end. She loved me for my music, and she loved me for the way I wore the thinness lightly, and the morning and the day held no terror for a man who learned at 7 what the floor of things looks like and how to stand on it and ask for more. And the only currency I had, which was the song and the strength. She loved me as I was, but not the life that came with the thing. Oh, empty pockets, full heart blues, the oldest kind of song, broke enough to need the music and strong enough to sing along. Empty pockets, full heart blues, been here before and will. A man who's rich in music has the most expensive bill. When she left me the guitar and took the rest. Not from cruelty but logistics, the guitar was the best of what I owned and clearly mine. The arrangement of the split, I held it like a man who's been reminded of his kit of survival, which is music and the willing and the here. And I played until the morning, and I played without the fear. Teacher that the comfortable won't hire. She shows you what is necessary and burns off the entire category of the wanted masquerading as the need. And what remains when she is done is something close to freed. I've had the thin and I've had better, and I'll have both again. But the music is the constant, and the music is the wind. Empty pocket, full heart blues, the oldest kind of song. Broke enough to need the music and strong enough to sing along. Empty pockets, full heart blues, been here before and will. A man who's rich in music has the most expensive bill. Trusted her with things I hadn't spoken to the air before. The particular shame of the childhood and the years before the more of the adult that I built on top of what had happened then. The stories that a man keeps below the waterline, and when he opens them to someone, it's because he's chosen to believe that the person receiving them will hold them and not leave. She told every secret but mine to the people we knew, made a study of my sorrow for the curious to view. She told every secret but kept mine the last, a small mercy in the breaking, a sliver of the past. I found out slowly the way you find out when the world is smaller than you think, and the information gets unfurled through the looking at you sideways of the people at the table who know something about you from a source and are able to see you in that knowledge while pretending otherwise. The whole room is a mirror made of secondhand surprise. She had her reasons, everybody does, for the particular, the way they treat a confidence, the molecular of their own relationship to privacy and trust. I've examined mine too. I've examined what I must have given her to work with, and the role my own contribution played in everything before the overthrown. She told every secret but mine to the people we knew, made a study of my sorrow for the curious to view. She told every secret but kept mine the last, a small mercy in the breaking, a sliver of the past. What she kept deliberately, that I believe. The one thing that I told her that she chose to not retrieve for the general conversation, of the knowing and the told. She left that one particular thing inside the fold of what she alone possessed. And I have puzzled why a woman who disclosed the rest would hold that one aside. Maybe mercy isn't binary. Maybe it arrives in degrees and in selections, and it partially survives in a person who has otherwise not honored what was given. Maybe she was partly something, and the rest was what was driven by whatever need the sharing of a secret feels. I'm still working through the ledger and the balance of the bills. She told every secret but mine to the people we knew, made a study of my sorrow for the curious to view. She told every secret, but kept mine the last. A small mercy in the breaking, a sliver of the past. My mother left on a morning that I was too young to hold. Left a shape in the mattress and a story that was told in different versions by the people who stayed and who saw. But the version I inherited was silence and the raw of a child who looked for the leaving in every love thereafter, and found it every time in the going and the after. The leaving kind of love is the only love I've known, the kind that packs its suitcase and goes before the morn. The leaving kind of love, always out the door. I keep on inviting it in, and it keeps leaving for more. The first woman I loved left for the city and the sea. Said the town was too familiar and she had to be free of everything that named her to a version of herself she'd outgrown, like a winter coat put back upon the shelf. I stood at the station and I watched the train decide, and somewhere in the watching, learn the watching from inside. The second left because I pushed before she thought to go. Some nervous anticipation of the leaving I'd come to know so well. I started engineering it unconsciously to spare myself the waiting must be the inevitable departure of anyone who stayed close enough to matter. I confess this when I paid. The leaving kind of love is the only love I've known, the kind that packs its suitcase and goes before the morn. The leaving kind of love, always out the door. I keep on inviting it in, and it keeps leaving for more. I paid for it in therapy across a stretch of years, unpacking all the leaving down below the gears of the adult and the chosen, back to where the original wound was made in the morning. That became the ritual of my expecting and my shaping every love to fit the template of a leaving. I was writing every bit. I'm working now at staying and at letting others stay, and not sabotaging the arrival of the day. When someone close decides to keep on being near, and I breathe into that nearness without manufacturing fear. The leaving kind of love is the only love I've known, but a man can learn a different one if he's willing to be shown. The leaving kind of love is the only love I've known, the kind that packs its suitcase and goes before the morn. The leaving kind of love, always out the door. I keep on inviting it in, and it keeps leaving for more. Oh. My mother left on a morning that I was too young to hold, left a shape in the mattress and a story that was told in different versions by the people who stayed and who saw. But the version I inherited was silence and the raw of a child who looked for the leaving in every love thereafter, and found it every time in the going, in the after. The leaving kind of love is the only love I've known, the kind that packs its suitcase and goes before the morn. That leaving kind of love, always out the door. I keep on inviting it in, and it keeps leaving from.
I left Georgia at 19
with $40 and a name that nobody in the northern cities knew or cared to claim. I built myself from nothing in the language of the North, learned to flatten out my vowels and to demonstrate my worth in the currency of the city and the fast in the concrete. And I prospered by the measure that prosperity would meet. Georgia red clay can't wash it off my hands. Carried it to every city, every different land. Georgia red clay ran in through my blood. A man can leave the birthplace, but can't leave the mud. But at night I still walk barefoot in the red clay of the dream. Down the road behind my grandmother's house, beside the stream that ran from somewhere in the pine dark hills to nowhere fast. A stream that didn't question and didn't mind the past of whoever walked beside it in the morning or the cool of the Georgia evening after the particular school. I went back for her funeral in the October of my 52nd. Something happened to the body when the Georgia air was reckoned with the body that had left it 30 years before. The particular weight of the red clay morning at the door of the house she'd kept for 90 years opened something in the man I'd spent 3 decades building over the origin. Georgia red clay can't wash it off my hands. Carried it to every city, every different land. Georgia red clay running through my blood. A man can leave the birthplace, but can't leave the mud. I walked the road behind the house alone the morning after, hard and red and certain underfoot the pine tree laughter of the wind and everything, familiar and unchanged, while 30 years of living in the north had rearranged the person walking on it. Both of us still here. The road unchanged, the man it made now standing in the clear. I took a jar of red clay back to the apartment in the north, set
windowsill to testify the worth of the ground a man comes from when the city gets too clean and too efficient and too certain and too keen to erase the origin for the polished and the done. Georgia red clay on my windowsill beside the morning sun. Georgia red clay can't wash it off my hands. Carried it to every city, every different land. Georgia red clay running through my blood. A man can leave the birthplace, but can't leave the mud.
We talked for 7 hours on the first night that we met at a party in November in a room I can't forget. Everything was language, and the language was alive. We talked about the childhood and the particular arrival of each of us at that room on that precise November night. The whole world felt like something we could talk into the right. 1,000 miles of silence between this phone and yours. 1,000 miles of everything we never said before. 1,000 miles of silence, the distance and the dawn of two people who knew how to talk until the talk went numb. Through the first 5 years, the talking was the furniture. The room of us was built in conversation. The particular texture of how we processed and the thinking out loud. The way ideas move between us in the daily crowd of ordinary life. We were the talking kind of pair that builds its whole intimacy on the sharing of the air. Somewhere in the 7th year, the talking thinned a topic from the philosophical to the calendrical and microscopic. Management of schedules and the logistics of the week. The conversation that was once the dwelling became the creak of a door on worn hinges, the functional and done. We talked about the dinner, and we didn't talk about the wine. 1,000 miles of silence between this phone and yours. 1,000 miles of everything never said before. 1,000 miles of silence, the distance and the dawn of two people who knew how to talk until the talk went numb. I tried to name it once at the table in the fall. Said I feel like we've stopped talking, like we've traded all. The big rooms of the conversation for the hall. She said, I know what you mean, and we sat there through it all. Two people acknowledging the silence in the room, then went back to the topic and the management and the gloom. She went to the coast city, and I went to the plain, and the 1,000 miles between us made official what had lain between us in the same room for the years before the move. The silence needed distance to reveal itself and prove that it wasn't the geography that made the talking go. It was something in the architecture of the two of us belayed. 1,000 miles of silence between this phone and yours. 1,000 miles of everything we never said before. 1,000 miles of silence, the distance and the dumb of two people who knew how to talk until the talk went numb. Talked for 7 hours on the first night that we met, at a party in November in a room I can't forget. We talked for 7 hours on the first night that we met, at a party in November in a room I can't forget. Everything was language and the language was alive. We talked about the childhood and the particular arrive of each of us at that room on that precise November night. The whole world felt like something we could talk into the right. 1,000 miles of silence between this phone and yours. 1,000 miles of everything we never said before. 1,000 miles of silence, the distance and the dumb of two people who knew how to talk until the talk went numb. We talked for 7 hours on the first night that we met, at a party in November in a room I can't forget. Everything was language and the language was alive. We talked about the childhood and the particular arrive of each of us at that room on that precise November night. The whole world felt like something we could talk into the right. 1,000 miles of silence between this phone and yours. 1,000 miles of everything we never said before. 1,000 miles of silence, the distance and the dumb of two people who knew how to talk until the talk went. wasn't in the mood for the ambush of the visual and the memory renewed by the accidental falling of a frame from the third shelf. The whole thing just a physics problem solving for itself. But the physics of a photograph includes the chemistry of whoever finds it face up on the floor involuntarily. The photograph fell from the shelf and landed on the floor, face up in the ordinary light beside the door. The photograph on the floor, the two of us in June, staring up at me from somewhere underneath the moon. We were standing at the overlook above the valley spread. Below us in that particular green, before the summer dead of August, when the green goes gold and everything goes slow. She was laughing at something that I'd said, and I would know what I said if I could know it. But the only thing that stayed is the laughing in the valley and the way the light was made. I picked it up and held it at the arm length of appraisal, the way you hold a thing you're not yet ready for, the phrasal of deciding neither placing it back on the shelf nor putting it away, just holding it outside yourself. At the distance of the two arms that creates a kind of space between the man and the moment in the other person's face. The photograph fell from the shelf and landed on the floor, face up in the ordinary light beside the door. The photograph on the floor, the two of us in June, staring up at me from somewhere underneath the moon. I brought it to the kitchen table and I made the coffee slow and set the photograph beside the cup and let the glow of the morning come across the two of us in June, for the hour that I had before the workday and the tune of the calendar, just me and her, and the valley in the frame. Two people in a photograph before the leaving came. I put it in a different place, deliberately by the desk where I would see it daily in the ordinary quest of sitting down to work, not hidden and not featured, just a photograph of people in the light, a regular creature of the household and the history allowed to be shown, not grieved over, just present in the house I call my own. The photograph fell from the shelf and landed on the floor, face up in the ordinary light beside the door. Ah, the photograph on the floor, the two of us in June, staring up at me from somewhere underneath the moon. written this line every night for longer than I'd care to confess in the full light of the ordinary share. The 3 a.m. from the city to the suburb and the dark of the platform at the end where the trees begin the park. I know the conductor's schedule, and he knows my face. 2 professionals of the night in an understanding space. The night train knows my stop without me saying where. Recognizes the particular weight of my particular care. The night train knows my stop, 3rd from the end of the line. A man who rides too often becomes a regular of the design. I started riding after she went. The apartment got too voluminous with quiet for a man inside the plot. A fresh abandonment, the city at the night offered the particular of moving through the light and the dark alternating at the window as it passed. A man in motion isn't standing in the blast. Who ride late for their particular reasons. The nurse returning from the double and the seasonal. Cook from the hotel kitchen and the student with the book. The man who sleeps the whole ride with a particular look of a person who has found the train the only place he can rest without defending what he holds inside the case. The night train knows my stop without me saying where. Recognizes the particular weight of my particular care. The night train knows my stop, 3rd from the end of the line. A man who rides too often becomes a regular of the design. We don't speak much, the night train regulars. We know that the reason for the lateness is a private and a slow surrender to the motion of the going and return. We offer the companionable silence in the unearned comfort of the other body present in the car. We are all each other's witness from just far enough and far. I'm riding less now than I was in the first year of the gone. The apartment feels differently, and I sleep before the dawn. Most nights, which is the metric of a man improving in the direction of the ordinary and the begin again. But I still take the train on certain nights for old time's sake. The conductor nods and says, back to the call. The night train knows my stop without me saying where. Recognizes the particular weight of my particular care. regular of the design. Watch the sparrow on the wire in the January freeze, taking what the season gave with a particular ease, of the adapted and the fitted to the cold and the sparse, of the January offering, the small brown universe, of the sparrow in the wire was complete without complaint. I envied it the lacking of the human self-restraint. What the sparrow knows about the winter and the bear, about the singing in the cold and making do with the air. What the sparrow knows, I'm learning it this year, how to be the small persistent thing that's always here. My grandmother kept a feeder in the winter of a yard, said the birds in January always taught us something hard, about the gratitude for small provisions and the seed of the ordinary offered to the ordinary need. She said, you don't have to be the eagle, you can be the wren, and still make music and still come back to the feeder again. I've been in my own January for the count of now 3 years, learning the particular of the strip back and the clears, of what the letting go of the unnecessary leaves a man down to his sparrow self. No spectacular of the eaves of ambition or performance, just the singing and the wire, and the return each morning to the small sustaining fire. What the sparrow knows about the winter and the bear, about the singing in the cold and making do with the air. What the sparrow knows, I'm learning it this year, how to be the small persistent thing that's always here. January wire doesn't sit and count the losses or express the desire for the season that is past or mourn the season not yet here. It inhabits the specific of the now and the clear, cold fact of what is present and what the present holds. Way is worth more than gold. I put a feeder out this winter by the kitchen pane, and watch them come, the sparrows, in the January rain. Each one doing precisely what the sparrow is for doing. Each one in the daily practice of the being and the accruing of the seed and the survival and the small insistent song. I'm learning what the sparrow knows and learning it alone. What the sparrow knows about the winter and the bear, about the singing in the cold and making do with the air. What the sparrow knows, I'm learning it this year. How to be the small persistent thing that's always here.
I swore on everything I had when the first one walked away, that the man who emerged from the ruin would be different every day, would be present and would open and hold the difficult, instead of running from it at the first sign of result. I made the swear in the honest and I meant it at the time. Then I met the second woman and I stepped across the line. The second time around the blues, you'd think that I would know the shape of every trap ahead and which way not to go. The second time around the blues, same song, different key. A man who doesn't learn the lesson learns additionally. Not immediately, I'll give myself the half of that. I held a better version of myself for a solid flat year and some months before the architecture of the old habit reasserted and the story was retold in a different voice with different names, but the same essential plot. A man who swore he'd change, arriving at the place he swore he'd not. She called me on it early, which I'll say is to her credit. She saw the pattern forming and she named it and she said it plain and without cruelty. Said, I've heard this kind of story from the chapter just before me, and I'm not obliged to glory in being your next lesson if you haven't done the work. She said it looking level and she didn't smirk. The second time around the blues, you'd think that I would know the shape of every trap ahead and which way not to go. The second time around the blues, same song, different key. A man who doesn't learn the lesson learns it additionally. This time, that's the difference. I went back to the room where I had started, and I laid it on the rack of the slow examination. Past where I'd stopped before, past the comfortable understanding at the surface of the floor, down to the actual mechanism and the actual why. A man can't fix the pattern if he doesn't specify. She stayed while I was working, and she watched the change occur, not all at once and not without the regression and the blur of the old thing reasserting when the new thing wasn't strong. But she stayed inside the process, and I proved it wasn't long before the proof became the person. I'm not there yet entire, But the second time around the blues, I finally called the fire. The second time around the blues, you'd think that I would know the shape of every trap ahead and which way not to go. The second time around the blues, same song, different key. A man who doesn't learn the lesson learns it additionally.
There's a particular quality to being chosen and stayed for, to being the address that a person is always aimed on. At the end of the day, and the end of the journey and the long compute of the living, the particular belong. Being where someone returns because returning there is right. I was somebody's home and I was somebody's night. When I was somebody's home, they kept the light on inside, kept a place at the table and a space along the side of the bed and of the morning and the ordinary through. When I was somebody's home, I knew what I was to you. She'd come in from the working with a particular door closed, of a woman arriving where she meant to be the most, of the deliberate and chosen entry of a space. She didn't just come in, she arrived inside a place that she had selected among all the other places there. And the selecting was the thing I failed to honor with the care. I started taking the arriving as the expected and the due, as the weather of a man who has been chosen coming to. The natural conclusion that the choosing always comes, and forgot that choosing is a daily recommit that drums its own continued rhythm, or it fades into the quiet of the taken and the absent and the gradually riot. When I was somebody's home, they kept the light on inside, kept a place at the table and a space along the side of the bed and of the morning and the ordinary through. When I was somebody's home, I knew what I was to you. She found a different confidentially the way the unharmed do. Somewhere that received her with the understanding knew of what it means to tend the arriving every day, to earn the key by keeping it deserved along the way. I heard she is received there well, and I believe it right. A woman that deliberate deserves the porch light. I'm nobody's home tonight, and the nobody sits clear in the particular emptiness of a house without the here of someone's deliberate selection of your address as the one. I'm building something I can offer when the building's done. Not a house of quality or being someone worth the return. When I was somebody's home, I hadn't done enough to earn. When I was somebody's home, they kept the light on inside, kept a place at the table and a space along the side of the bed and of the morning, and the ordinary through. When I was somebody's home, I knew what I was to you.
You are at Crossroads Blues Records. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications.